so we'll have to get closer.
Yes.
So then this housing and self-development, you don't have to, you work with societies directly, and you really get a chance to work with them. And our process of working is that we really want to know what our clients want. Usually working with a developer, you don't get to see what your clients want. These are speculative projects. Whereas now, we actually know the 60 people who are going to live in the building. We can ask them what they really want, what their families want, etc., etc. So it becomes a far more meaningful thing for us. And I feel we've kind of been working towards this, and we are ready for this. And we're hoping that a lot more of this work will happen. We need finance, right? We need banks, or the bankers who are looking on. This is going to need a lot of money. Ajay, if he's there. So we're going to need a lot of money. Mumbai Cooperative Bank is the only bank right now who's willing to lend money for this. So I think the last question before we move on. Shumuli decided to become an architect, lead your own firm. You're an entrepreneur in a sense. You're a businesswoman. How was it, the design skills you have when you decide to branch off on your own? The more difficult thing is managing the practice and managing finances. Is there anything you want to tell us about that?
Very important and very difficult as an architect. I think what's going on is the comments are down here and we are down there as well. I'm trying to move us a little bit. You want to get in? Yeah. There's a lot. I'm going to answer that really quickly so that we can answer the bunch of questions here, and there's some very interesting questions. I think you really have to be able to do work that's wonderful, but more importantly, ensure that you communicate the value of your work and ensure that you get a good enough fee so that you can afford to get great people to work with you. It's a whole cycle, and the only way to manage that cycle is to, of course, be efficient to some extent, but also be able to communicate your value well enough and get yourself a reasonable fee. I'm now going to, there's just so many questions that I think it might be a good idea to start taking some of these questions. What you want to say to new architects?
Well, we were just talking about it the other day.
Yeah. What do we want to say to new architects? It's a bit of a tough road, and I do think that the first few years as an architect are very important. It's very important to choose a really good office to work with. That training holds you in tremendously good stead for all your life. I would say work a few years, find a great office to work with, because those little nuts and bolts of details only experience teaches you. I do look back at some of my old projects and I tend to cringe, and I think I look back and feel I made mistakes. You really, experience helps a lot. I think we should keep taking.
Yeah, so I think working for a good team that has a good leader and building 2 or 3 buildings first, that is going through to 2 or 3 projects to understand the project, understand the process after you graduate is important. It shouldn't start on your own right away. But once you start on your own right away, make sure that you know that you're serving someone. This is a service industry, and it's the client who's most important and not what you necessarily think. It's about their life and helping them flourish, which needs to be uppermost in your mind, and not any ideas or what image you have in your head of what you want to actually build. Um,
There's two overwhelming questions that I'm seeing here. I think one is about the new Supreme Court judgment, and the second seems to be about what the world will be like after, how the pandemic will affect the economy and the careers of young architects, etc. I think we could start with, do you have views on the Supreme Court judgment? Maybe you want to talk about those.
Supreme Court.
The one allowing non-architects to head architectural practices.
No. That's not what it's saying. It's not allowing architects to head architects. It's saying that they can do architectural work. So I don't think that is. See, as per law, they can't call themselves architects, but they can do architectural work. So there's a distinction there, right? The other point is that will the pandemic affect the economy, and how will it change the career of an architect, and how will it change practices? I think events like this, these crises like this, are very important pause points and do change, and it will change how we practice. I think the immediate effect of what we are seeing is we will need less office space. People have seen, at least in the service industry, that you can work from home a lot. So I think a lot of people will begin to work from home, which is going to mean that there's going to be changes in how we design homes and how we build homes. And going forward, we're going to need rooms for work in homes. Interior designers, you'll probably have a lot of work redoing homes to incorporate desks and office space within. So there is going to be a lot of work, very different work. So office space much less. Neighborhoods, I think we're going to plan them differently. We've seen that big apartment buildings need to be designed differently so that service staff also get to live in the building. Many people are doing without all the help that they used to. So we're going to have to design these within the buildings so that more of our staff, more of our help live on the project, on the premises. I think also the way we look at neighborhoods is going to change. The whole old theory of land use planning, of residential area, office area, etc., and the commutes in between is going to change because a lot of people are going to work from home.
And
it's
more
going to
sustainable neighborhoods, right?
Yeah,
Neighborhoods that encompass hospitals, schools, etc., so that you can, in the old Garden City concept, you can walk to your school, walk to your office, walk to your hospital.
Yeah.
That, and the other one that I think Mumbai will have to look at extremely critically is that the pandemic is really, a hotbed for slum communities. We've allowed this completely subhuman way to survive for time, for several years, ever since these large metropolitan cities have been happening, and they are absolutely. They're actually not a method that one can sustain to live in. And if we are able to put the kinds of thousands of crores that the government is willing to put in, certain projects like redeveloping the Central Vista or doing the Coastal Road, the most critical, according to me, is to find extremely good solutions to slums. It's not appropriate for people to live like that.
So slums is another interesting thing, and as per law, right now, a slum cannot redevelop on its own. They can, as per the law, SRA laws, you can redevelop only if you have a developer. That needs to change. Because you will usually end up with a much better solution if they develop on their own, and they only hire professionals to help them through the process. There is a community we're going to start working with very soon to test this, of how they can self-develop, and I think that is also an idea whose time has come. The other thing we need to look at seriously is densities. And how dense some of the places are, and go back and re-look at putting a ceiling on densities. In the present DC rules which we have, we're allowing the densities of more than 2 lakh people per square kilometer, which is just atrociously high. So those are questions we're going to need to ask, and we'll have to change. Yeah.
There's a million more questions. I think somebody asked about the value of a master's program. I mean, you know, I think it all depends on what you're looking for. I found actually 5 years of architectural college did a lot for me as an architect and was more than enough. When I went to the US, I went to study a master's in architecture, found that I didn't want to do any more studios, and actually did almost a liberal arts program in the US, studying politics, economics, etc. So I'm not sure that it adds a lot to your architectural skills, but I think it can add a lot to your architectural thinking, because I think theory is one of the things that's really missing. Setting architecture into its socio-political context is something that we need, and the liberal arts is something we really need a lot more of in architectural schools.
So Nupur is asking that the master's program gave us a lot of exposure, surely. Yes, it did, but then any form of travel would. So if I think it is a good time that you get to reflect on things. But you know, doing a master's is a rather expensive way of doing it. If you want to take a year off, okay, you can take a year off and travel and meet up with people all over the world, and I think that would have a similar effect of exposure.
Everybody wants to know about masters on this chat, and somebody has just asked me, Ria Chadda, right? Hi Ria, you've asked about whether it's helped in the last 20 years of practice, and honestly I have to say yes, yes and yes, because we studied urban planning for our masters, and on everything from Marxist economics to developing for third world countries, etc. And I think the perspectives that we have, and I think perspective is what finally aids design. If the Pinterest design, where you kind of buy, you know, steal details from all over the place and put it together, can be done by anybody. But I think having a strong theoretical and conceptual basis to your design is what matters a lot, and I do feel those 2 years of a strong planning program, interdisciplinary planning program, have helped amazingly.
Someone asked the question about healthcare, and that's a very, very important thing. I think this pandemic has highlighted how unprepared we are, how little as a country we invest in healthcare. We have actually been working on a study for the last 2 or 3 months on the lack of healthcare facilities in the country and the state. Maharashtra needs over 500 bed hospitals all over the state, and they need it right now. 64 million Maharashtrians are underserved medically. We don't produce enough doctors, we don't produce enough nurses, even though Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu lead in the number of medical colleges they have, and we supply really to the rest of the country. Even for our own needs, we require over 1 million nurses, for example. So we're really, really far behind in educating doctors, having hospital beds, and this is this other thing we as an office are focusing on, creating data on this, creating awareness on this. In fact, we have a studio right now working on a prototype new generation hospital, which deals with cross ventilation extremely well. Cross infection is something that is a big problem in most buildings, but in hospital buildings it gets even worse. So how do you prevent cross infections? So we're coming up with designs, and in fact we've been doing this even before the pandemic, but now suddenly it's really, really needed. So architects can really make a lot of difference in this way by doing the research which is needed ahead of time, so that we serve society based on the needs, and we actually create an awareness for this.
Yeah. These questions are coming in so fast, I don't quite know how to respond. Okay, maybe we could. It's just coming at me. What's your viewpoint of educational systems in India? Needs innovation, improvisation? My God, does the education of architecture need innovation and improvisation? There are, 3 or 4 really good schools now that are setting the trend, and I think C is one of them. There's Avni in Cochin, in Calicut. There's one in Mysore. So these are really, because I think there's 2 issues with architectural education. One is it's just not hands-on enough. I remember graduating from architecture college and not knowing what ply was, not knowing how to build with ply. I'd never worked with my hands. I'd never, I just didn't understand the nuts and bolts of how to build, except theoretically. That to me is a huge issue. I think, as I've said before, liberal arts and theory is extremely important. And then the third thing that I think is very important is working with case studies, actually approaching buildings as case studies, going and looking at a built building and understanding it completely from the way its nuts and bolts are done to how those sewage pipes work to how the electrical conduits run in that building. That's finally, you may have a vision, but finally, everything comes at you to actually disrupt that vision. Unless you are completely able to understand how all this works and incorporate it into your vision effectively and innovatively.
I think I took, from an early age, I used to list things that I want to learn and I want to know more about when I wanted to learn something. So I taught myself how to swim, I taught myself many things without a teacher. So even architecture, I felt, as Shimal says, that I needed to learn how to build. So one of the first jobs I took up really was working for a contractor, and I was on site doing things for the contractor. And Christopher Alexander believed that architects should actually build. So in the Napa Valley, soon after we had graduated, I went and I worked. We were 3 architects building a house for a teacher and an artist. I learned so much being on site. We were just 3 of us. We were the masons, we were the laborers, we did the shuttering, we did the concreting, we dug the pits for the drains, we did the cabinetry, we did the windows, we did everything on site. And that really taught me the value of labor and how things actually work on site. And then he put me in a carpentry workshop designing furniture, and I was actually building the furniture. It was me and a German guy who knew how to build. I was his assistant. And that hands-on work, which we rarely do in India. In India, because society is stratified the way it is, we don't really get to work with our hands. So I got that chance in the US, and I think that really, really helped me. I think a lot of what Frank Lloyd Wright also, the first project you did when you joined Taliesin was build in a boat for yourself. I think things like that are crucial because you realize a very different set of values when you do it for yourself.
Okay, we're going to go very, very quickly through answers. Sagar N, answer to your question, yes. Internships are wonderful things, go for it. Neha, what's the best summer school? Yes, work. Try and find the best office you can and work there. By a best office, I mean an office whose work you really like. Importance of art in architecture, I think the importance of the principles of art, using your imagination and listening to intuition are what I think is extremely important. Views on National Association of Students of Architecture. We used to love NASA, Dipanshu, when we were in college. participated in it every year. I think we all grew a lot from it.
So there's an unknown geek over here who's talking about, tell us about developing your own style. I don't think either of us believe in developing our own style. I think we respond to what our clients want and what we think is right for the project. Context matters a lot. So where it is and who it's for matter a lot.
I'm going to quickly answer Neha. How do we come to a conclusion about working in interiors or architecture? Go where your heart tells you. If you prefer interiors, go there.
How to get motivated after a redo? That's fascinating because architects are, redos are a very important part of our life. But it's about listening to what your clients really want, what's really going to make a difference to their lives. So new ideas always come, and a new idea is only going to improve the project. It rarely makes it worse. If you have a system of prioritization, which you've discussed with your client about what's more important, what's less, I think that conversation with your client and working with your client to be able to prioritize is important. So that a new idea doesn't wreck something and a little idea doesn't wreck something which is bigger and better and more important. But redos are something we listen to very carefully.
I'm trying to respond, but we need to be very quick. Which city for internships? The city that you find the firm that you like the most. How do you focus during work? Do what you love most. Try and look at what aspect of that work you love and do that. Importance of regionalism in interior design practices. Try and use the craft of the area you're working in. Try and use local resources. Try and support local crafts and practices. Do you recommend doing an internship first or master's just after graduation?
Internship first. Build 2 or 3 buildings before you go, if at all you have to go. It'll be far more valuable to you, but definitely complete 2 or 3 projects before you do a master's. Going directly, you're just extending theoretically, and the questions you will ask and the value that you will derive from it will just be so much lower.
Kriti, Nirmal, views on smart city development. Smart city is actually a technological concept, making cities more technically friendly. All very good, all wonderful, but according to me, it's the soft stuff of a city that we really need to work on. The relationships, making sure people get food, shelter, housing, education, etc., that we really need to focus on. There's a movement called slow cities that's worth looking into as well, which I find more interesting. Yeah.
What would be a career for fresh architect after 5 or 6 years? It depends on the office you're in, but after 5 or 6 years, definitely you should think of starting on your own.
Oh, I think if you can find an office that will give you a good space, join in and make offices should be places that allow other people to grow as well.
Yeah, most people in our office have been with us for a decade or more.
One sec. We should have pinned that one, the one just before this. What was that? Design, yeah. Akash, do they? But less number of projects versus production and more projects is the real confusion to build a run and practice. Yes, Akash, that is a very valid question. Do you intensely do a few projects or do you do everything that comes your way? We tend to be fairly selective about what we do, and we believe designing to the minutest detail is, but I don't think it's an either or. We are doing some very large projects and still designing to the minutest detail. I think everything has its time and place. When you've been in practice 30 years, you have in a library of details, you have enough experience to be able to design even larger projects to the minutest detail.
Okay, Neha is asking, working with a firm with a good range of projects or startup on your own from zero? Definitely working with a firm, not with a good range of project, but with good practices. A firm you respect, and the processes in the firm that you respect, that you're going to learn from. Starting on your own too early is a mistake. you won't be serving your clients well. You'll be making a lot of mistakes. You'll be learning on their money and time. So definitely no, work for a good firm first. Do you think firms in India should change the softwares they use? I don't know. We use Vectorworks and we're happy with it. Masters in Architecture suggestion. What do we do? What should we do in this quarantine period? I mean, aren't your offices working?
Well, if your offices are not working, I think the quarantine period is an amazing opportunity to do millions of multiple things, from read everything you want to, write everything you want to, get creative, do kitchen gardening, whatever you like. It's a brilliant opportunity. If you're safe and well fed, just use your time.
Okay, there's someone at Design Practice talking about our primary school. Yes, definitely our schooling in India needs to have people think more, think about solutions, think about how we serve, rather than just learning what the answers are. Activity-based learning, problem-based learning, I think, is important.
What a good question that is. Yes, both of us work in helping primary education in the lower strata. But I think a shift in the way primary education happens will really allow us to be more ourselves, and that to me is the most important thing. Help us tune into ourselves.
You want to answer this? I'm looking into Slow City. You must have mentioned. Can you brief a little?
There's a lot on the internet on it. Do look it up. Italy has been the kind of pioneer of the slow city movement, as it has been about in the slow food movement. It's about kind of integrating small cities and making sure that all the talent happens within it, and you don't use too much of a carbon footprint, but too much to speak about.
And Rajesh R62 is asking about our views on parametric architecture. I'm fascinated by it. I wish I could do it. I wish I could learn more about it.